She gave up her ticket for a tired father with a child not knowing he was a millionaire CEO. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. The rain had just started to fall over the small station on the edge of Chicago when Anna Clark arrived, clutching her worn brown purse to her chest. The departure board flickered above her head, announcing delays in yellow letters. She was exhausted from her double shift at the diner, but relief glimmered in her eyes. She had managed to save just enough for the bus ticket home to see her mother for the first time in months. The waiting area smelled faintly of coffee and wet coats. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as a crowd began to form around the ticket counter. Then she saw him, a man standing near the benches, holding a small sleeping girl in his arms. His jacket was soaked, his eyes tired, and there was a quiet panic in the way he kept glancing at the departure schedule. The child, no older than 5, stirred softly, her little hand clutching his collar. When the announcement came over the speaker that the last bus for the evening had only one seat left, Anna's heart sank. The father hurried to the counter, voice hoarse as he pleaded with the clerk. "Please, my daughter is sick. We have to get home tonight. It is urgent." The clerk shook her head apologetically. "Only one seat left, sir." The man turned away, defeated, holding his sleeping child close. Without thinking, Anna stepped forward. "You can take mine," she said quietly. The man looked up, startled. "I cannot ask you to do that." She smiled faintly, even though her own eyes looked tired. "You did not ask. I am offering." Her voice trembled slightly, but her resolve did not. She should not have to wait in the cold. The man stared at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable, then finally nodded. "Thank you," he said softly. "You have no idea what this means." Anna shrugged it off. "Just make sure she gets home safe." The clerk exchanged the tickets, and the man hesitated one last time. "What is your name?" "Anna," she replied. "Anna Clark." "I am Daniel," he said. "Daniel Ross." He adjusted his daughter in his arms and gave her a small nod of gratitude before boarding the bus. As the vehicle pulled away, Anna stood under the dim lights, rain dripping from her hair, feeling both strangely light and unbearably heavy at once. She had given away her only ticket home, her only chance to rest, but somehow she did not regret it. She turned to leave, unaware that the man she had just helped, tired, soaked, and holding his child close, was the founder and CEO of Ross Industries, one of the largest companies in the Midwest. And before the night was over, her single act of kindness would change both their lives forever. It had been 2 days since Anna had given up her ticket, and life had returned to its usual rhythm. The soft hum of the diner, the clinking of plates, and the distant conversations of regulars filled the air. Despite her tired eyes and sore feet, she still found some peace in the work. She hadn't thought much about the man she had helped, or the small act of kindness she had offered. It had been just the right thing to do in the moment, and that was enough for her. However, in the quiet moments after her shift, when she sat alone in her small apartment, she wondered if she had made the right choice. Could she have asked for a better life? Was there ever going to be a time when she wasn't struggling to make ends meet? As the days passed, her thoughts returned to the tired man, Daniel Ross. She remembered the way he had looked at her, the hesitation in his eyes, but mostly how grateful he had seemed. She never imagined that a simple exchange could change her life. Her phone buzzed, snapping her out of her thoughts. It was a message from her best friend, Ruth. "Hey, I'm thinking of taking a weekend off. You in?" Anna smiled, replying back quickly. "I wish, but I don't have the luxury of time off." She sighed, staring out the window at the busy street below. It was a Saturday morning, and despite the sunshine, everything felt heavy. She had promised herself that things would change eventually, but it felt like she was stuck in an endless loop. Ruth's reply came soon after, filled with a couple of laugh emojis. "Hang in there, Anna. I know things will get better." Anna put the phone down, a small part of her still holding on to that hope. Later that afternoon, as she prepared to head out for her next shift, a car pulled up outside her apartment. It was sleek, black, and a little out of place in the neighborhood. She thought nothing of it at first, until the door opened, and a familiar face emerged. It was Daniel Ross. He stood there for a moment, looking around as if searching for something. Anna's heart skipped a beat. He caught sight of her and waved. "Anna, right?" he called out. She blinked, not sure if she had heard him correctly. Was this really happening? Yes, that's me," she replied, stepping out onto the balcony to get a better look. Daniel smiled, though there was an air of uncertainty in his eyes. "I wanted to thank you again for what you did the other day," he said. It really meant a lot. Anna's heart fluttered, but she didn't know how to respond. Was he really thanking her again? It had been a small gesture, nothing extraordinary. "It was nothing," she finally said, shrugging. "I just did what seemed right at the time." Daniel nodded, his expression softening. "Well, it didn't feel like nothing to me, and I wanted to show my appreciation." He paused, glancing at the car. "I know this may seem strange, but would you like to join me for a coffee? I'd love to get to know you better." Anna hesitated. It wasn't every day that a man like him asked her out for coffee. She felt the weight of her own doubts, her sense of self-worth. But something in his sincerity made her hesitate a little longer. "Sure, why not?" she said before she could talk herself out of it. She grabbed her coat, and as she walked down to meet him, she couldn't help but feel nervous. What was this really about? She didn't have time for games. He had helped her, but could there be more to it? Daniel opened the car door for her, and they drove off toward a small cafe on the edge of the city. The air between them was comfortable, though Anna couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of something she didn't fully understand. As they sat down with their coffee, the conversation flowed easily. But Anna could sense that there was more to this than just a friendly chat. Daniel was rich, successful, and from a world far beyond anything she had ever known. Yet here he was, talking to her like an old friend. As the coffee grew cold, Daniel looked at her with a serious expression. "Anna, there's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice lower now. "The reason I've been trying to reach out is because I feel like I owe you more than just a thank you." Anna's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, then finally spoke. "I'm not just anyone. I'm the CEO of Ross Industries. I know you didn't recognize me that day, but I've been watching you since." Anna's breath caught in her throat. Her mind raced. This was the same man she had helped, the same man who had been so grateful. But now it all seemed so surreal. He could have told her anything, but why was he saying this now? "You've been watching me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel nodded. "Not in a creepy way," he said quickly, trying to reassure her. "I was just impressed by your kindness, and I wanted to offer you something more than just a coffee." Anna was silent, trying to process everything he had just said. She had never imagined this encounter would lead to something like this, and yet here they were. But as much as she wanted to deny it, part of her couldn't ignore the strange connection she felt with him. She looked into his eyes, seeing sincerity, and perhaps a little uncertainty. She didn't know where this would go, but she had to admit, there was something intriguing about the man in front of her. The next few days passed, and Anna could not get Daniel's words out of her mind. Every time she walked into the diner, she wondered if she was making the right choices. Was this just a random act of kindness on his part, or was he trying to tell her something more? After their coffee, they had parted ways with a promise to stay in touch. But Daniel's revelation about being the CEO of Ross Industries lingered in her thoughts. She was still working long shifts, still struggling to make ends meet. But now there was this odd feeling inside her. It was as if the world had shifted slightly, and she wasn't sure if she could go back to how things were. The next Saturday, after her shift, Anna received a message from Daniel. "I'd love to take you out to dinner. It's been a hectic week, and I want to make it up to you for all your kindness. What do you say?" Anna stared at the message, unsure. This was the second time he had reached out to her. It wasn't just a coffee this time. It felt more like a date. But who was she to turn down an invitation from someone like him? She hesitated for a moment, then replied, "Sure, I'd like that." They agreed on a restaurant in the city center, a small but elegant Italian place that served the most delicious pasta she had ever had. When Anna arrived at the restaurant, she was greeted by the host, who led her to a private table. She felt slightly out of place in the upscale environment, her second-hand dress and worn shoes a stark contrast to the polished surroundings. But as soon as she saw Daniel, sitting across the table, dressed in a sharp suit, His presence made her feel strangely at ease. "You look beautiful," he said with a smile, standing up as she approached. "Thank you," she replied, blushing slightly. "You look pretty sharp yourself." Daniel laughed, his easy smile making her feel less self-conscious. As they sat down, the conversation flowed easily, just like it had during their coffee meetup. Daniel asked about her life, about the diner, about what she dreamed of doing if she could ever afford to. Anna found herself opening up in a way she hadn't expected. She told him about her love for art, her dream of opening a small studio one day. She talked about her mother, about the struggles they had faced, and how she had always worked to help make things better for her family. Daniel listened intently, his eyes never leaving her face, and she could see that he was genuinely interested. "You know," he said after a long pause, "I admire your strength. So many people would have given up, but you've kept going. That's rare." Anna felt a warmth spread through her chest. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. She smiled, trying to keep the emotion from showing. "Thanks. I guess I just keep going because I don't know what else to do." Daniel's expression softened. "Well, whatever you do, you're doing it right. I can tell." They spent the evening talking and laughing, the world outside the restaurant fading into the background. By the time dinner was over, Anna felt like she had known Daniel for much longer than just a few days. There was something comforting about his presence, something that made her forget about her insecurities and just be herself. As they walked out of the restaurant, Daniel stopped her for a moment. "Anna," he said, his voice more serious now, "I know we've only known each other for a short time, but I feel like we have something here. I know it might sound crazy, but I want to help you." Anna froze, her heart racing. "What do you mean?" she asked. Daniel took a deep breath, then spoke again. "I've been thinking about your situation, about everything you've told me, and I want to offer you something more. I can help you with your art, with your dreams. I can help you get to where you want to be." Anna stared at him, stunned. She had never imagined that someone like Daniel would offer her something like this. It was almost too good to be true. "Why would you do that for me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel smiled, but there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. "Because I believe in people like you, Anna. You have something special, and I want to see you succeed. I want to see you reach your potential." Anna didn't know what to say. She had always been taught to be wary of people offering too much, especially when they had so much more than she did. But Daniel didn't feel like the others. He seemed different, genuine, sincere. Still, she couldn't help but feel a little uncertain. "I don't know what to say," she admitted, her voice small. Daniel reached out and gently took her hand. "You don't have to say anything right now. Just think about it. I'll be here when you're ready." That was all he said, and they parted ways for the night. As Anna walked back to her apartment, her mind was racing. What had just happened? Could she trust him? Was this real, or was she just dreaming? She didn't have all the answers yet, but one thing was clear. Her life was no longer the same. The world around her had shifted, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like she might actually have a chance at something better. The following week, Anna found herself at a crossroads. She had spent the last few days mulling over Daniel's offer. Part of her wanted to leap at the opportunity, but another part was held back by doubt. What did it really mean for her to accept his help? Was it truly just about her art and dreams, or was there something more to it? Despite her doubts, she couldn't deny the allure of a life beyond the diner, beyond the constant struggle to make ends meet. She spent the days focusing on her work, but at night, she replayed the conversation with Daniel over and over in her mind. Each time, she felt the same knot of uncertainty tighten in her chest. It was Thursday when she received another message from him. "I know you're still thinking about it, but I wanted to let you know that I'm serious, Anna. Whatever you decide, I'm here to help you. Take your time, but don't let fear hold you back." Anna stared at the message, her heart racing. She had never been one to make quick decisions. But this was different. The weight of her choices felt more significant than anything she had faced before. As she sat in her apartment, she thought back to the early days, when she had dreamed of something more of a life, where she didn't have to worry about paying bills, where her passion for art could flourish. She had always been afraid to take that leap, to let herself believe that it could happen. But here was Daniel, offering her a chance. Was she ready? The answer wasn't simple, But as she thought about her mother's sacrifices and the weight of her own life, Anna knew that she couldn't stay in the same place forever. The next evening, she found herself outside Daniel's office building. The sleek glass doors towered in front of her, and the security guard at the entrance gave her a nod as she walked in. She had agreed to meet him for dinner again, but this time, she had something to say. Daniel was already waiting for her at a corner table in a quiet restaurant, his usual warm smile greeting her as she walked in. "Hey, Anna," he said, standing up. "I'm glad you came." Anna smiled nervously, her heart pounding in her chest. "I've been thinking about what you said. A lot, actually." She hesitated for a moment, gathering her thoughts. "I'm not sure if I'm ready for all of this, Daniel, but I don't want to keep turning down chances either. I want to take the leap, but I need to know you're serious about helping me, not just because you can, but because you want to see me succeed." Daniel's expression softened. He reached across the table and took her hand, his eyes sincere. "I wouldn't have offered if I wasn't serious, Anna. I see something in you, something that's worth investing in. You've got more potential than you realize, and I want to be part of that. You don't have to do it alone. I'm here, no strings attached." His words made her feel like she could breathe again. She had been so caught up in her own fears that she hadn't seen the possibility of someone truly supporting her. Maybe it wasn't just a dream. Maybe there was a chance for her to build the life she had always imagined. "Okay," she said, her voice steady. "Let's do this, but on my terms. I want to grow as an artist, not just as someone who's helped by you. I need to know that I can do this on my own, with your support, but without feeling like I'm in your shadow." Daniel smiled, a glint of admiration in his eyes. "I wouldn't have it any other way. You'll never be in my shadow. This is your journey. I'm just here to help you find your way." The tension that had been building inside Anna for so long melted away. For the first time in a long while, she felt like the world had opened up to her. She wasn't just a waitress anymore, not just someone stuck in a cycle. She was someone with a chance to make something of herself. That night, as they left the restaurant, Daniel walked with her to the door of her building. "I'll see you soon, Anna," he said with a smile. "You've made the right decision." She nodded, her heart full of hope. "Thank you, Daniel. I won't let you down." As she watched him leave, a new sense of purpose filled her. She didn't know where this journey would take her, but she knew one thing. She wasn't going to let fear control her anymore. She was ready to take the leap into the life she had always dreamed of. The next few weeks flew by in a blur of activity. Anna had made the decision, and now she was determined to make it work. With Daniel's encouragement, she had started focusing more on her art, dedicating hours each evening to perfecting her sketches and paintings. While still working at the diner to make ends meet, the nights she spent drawing felt like the only time when she could truly breathe. Daniel kept his promise. He didn't offer her money or fame, but something more valuable, his mentorship. He introduced her to his network of artists, curators, and gallery owners, helping her get her foot in the door. Still, Anna wasn't sure what to make of all the attention. She was used to struggling, to fighting for every opportunity, and now it felt like everything was handed to her on a silver platter. She had to remind herself that this was her chance, her moment to prove that she could succeed on her own. As the days went by, Anna found herself spending more time with Daniel outside of work. They attended art exhibitions together, had coffee meetings about her progress, and talked about her goals. Each time, Daniel made sure she felt valued, not just as an artist, but as a person. His respect for her talent was unwavering, but so was his friendship. The more they talked, the more Anna realized that her feelings for him were deepening. She had admired him from the start. Of course, he was successful, kind, and had a certain charm that was hard to resist, but this was different. She was beginning to care about him in a way that went beyond gratitude. However, she wasn't sure if Daniel felt the same. He was always supportive, always kind, but there was no indication that he saw her as anything more than a protégé. As Anna worked on her art, she kept this feeling to herself, not wanting to risk their professional relationship. Then one evening, after a particularly successful gallery opening, Daniel invited her to dinner. "You did amazing tonight," he said, his eyes gleaming with pride. "The crowd loved your work. I'm so proud of you, Anna." Her heart swelled at his words. She had been working so hard to prove herself, and it felt good to hear that someone, especially Daniel, believed in her. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice betraying the emotions she kept hidden. "I couldn't have done it without you." Daniel smiled warmly, but there was something different in his gaze. It wasn't the usual look of admiration or professionalism. It was softer, more personal. As they sat down for dinner, the conversation flowed easily, but there was an undercurrent of tension that neither of them could ignore. Anna could feel the shift between them, the unspoken words hanging in the air. As they finished their meal, Daniel reached across the table and took her hand gently. "Anna," he said, his voice lower than usual. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you." Anna's heart skipped a beat. She knew what was coming. This was it. This was the moment when Daniel would say what she had been afraid to hear. "I care about you," he said, looking into her eyes. "I care about you more than I ever expected." Her breath caught in her throat, and for a moment everything around her seemed to fade away. The room, the people, the bustling city outside it all disappeared. It was just her and Daniel, and his words hung between them like a promise. She couldn't believe it. She had spent so many nights wondering if she was reading too much into their interactions, and now here he was, saying exactly what she had hoped for. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice shaky with emotion. "I care about you too." A smile spread across his face, and in that moment, Anna knew that everything was about to change. They had been walking in parallel worlds for so long, he, the successful CEO, and she, the struggling artist, but now, for the first time, their worlds were starting to merge. It was terrifying and exciting all at once. "I've wanted to say that for a while," Daniel confessed, his fingers still lightly holding hers. "But I didn't want to rush you or make you uncomfortable. You're not just someone I'm mentoring, Anna. You mean something more to me." Anna's heart raced, but a sense of calm washed over her. This was the moment she had been waiting for. And yet, it didn't feel overwhelming. It felt right. They had both worked so hard to get to this point, and now, it was as if the universe had brought them together for a reason. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. They talked, laughed, and shared stories in a way that felt new but natural. When they finally said goodnight, Daniel gave her a soft kiss on the cheek, lingering for a moment before pulling away. "I'm glad you're in my life, Anna," he said quietly. "I'm glad you took that leap." As Anna walked home that night, the streets seemed brighter, the air crisper, and the possibilities endless. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Weeks passed, and with each day, Anna felt herself growing in ways she hadn't expected. Her art was thriving, and her connection with Daniel deepened. They spent more time together, working side by side on her projects, attending more gallery openings, and even enjoying quiet evenings at home. But as their relationship grew, so did the complications. Anna found herself at a crossroads, struggling with the balance between her career, her feelings for Daniel, and the doubts that continued to linger in the back of her mind. She loved the opportunities he had provided her, but at times she questioned if it was all too much, too fast. Was it really her success, or was it only because of him? And what about the future? What would their relationship look like when they came from two completely different worlds? One evening, while working on a new painting in her small studio, Anna's phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about where this is going. Can we talk?" Her heart raced. She had been waiting for a conversation like this, but she wasn't sure if she was ready for it. She quickly replied, "Of course. I'll meet you after my shift." When they met later that evening, Anna could tell from the serious look on Daniel's face that something had changed. The playful, easygoing attitude he usually had was replaced by something more uncertain. "Anna," he began, his voice calm but measured, "I've been thinking about everything we've been building together. I want you to know that I'm serious about us, but I also know that we're both in different places, and I want to be honest with you about my concerns." Anna's stomach tightened. She had sensed this moment coming, but hearing it out loud was different. She nodded, signaling for him to continue. "I want you to succeed, Anna. More than anything, I want you to find your own path and make your dreams a reality. But sometimes, I feel like I might be pushing too hard, that maybe I'm overstepping." His words stung, but Anna knew he wasn't criticizing her. He was questioning how their dynamic might be affecting her independence. "Daniel, I know you want what's best for me," she replied quietly. "But it's not just about the opportunities you've given me. It's about me finding my own way. I need to know that I can succeed on my own, without relying on anyone else." Daniel's eyes softened, and he reached out to take her hand. "I never wanted to take that away from you. I just want to be there for you, to support you. I believe in you, Anna, and I believe in your potential." Anna squeezed his hand, her mind swirling with emotions. She appreciated everything Daniel had done for her, but she couldn't ignore the fear that had been building inside her, the fear that she might lose herself in this relationship, that she might lose her own voice. "I need some space, Daniel," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need to figure out who I am, what I want, and how to get there. I can't do that if I feel like I'm living in someone else's shadow." Daniel nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her words. "I get it, Anna. I don't want to hold you back. I just want you to know that I'm here, and I'll be here no matter what." That night, as Anna walked home, she reflected on everything she had gained and everything she still wanted to achieve. She had always dreamed of being a successful artist, of standing on her own 2 feet, and now she was closer than ever. But she realized that there was still so much more to figure out. She had grown so much in the past few months, but she needed to take control of her own journey. She didn't need to prove herself to anyone but herself. The next morning, Anna woke up early, determined to take the first step toward her future. She spent the day working on her art, pushing herself to create something new and different. She also reached out to a few galleries she had been eyeing, hoping to start building her own connections, independent of Daniel's help. As the days went by, Anna found herself feeling more confident, more in control of her life. She knew she had a long road ahead, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid of it. She had everything she needed to succeed, and she was no longer afraid to stand on her own. When Daniel reached out to her later that week, she was ready to talk. They met for coffee, and this time, their conversation was different. They talked about their individual goals, their dreams, and their future, not just together, but as separate individuals. Anna could feel the tension lift between them as they spoke honestly about their needs and their boundaries. She no longer felt pressured by the expectations placed on her. Instead, she felt like they were both on the same page, understanding each other better than ever before. "I'm proud of you, Anna," Daniel said with a smile, his eyes full of admiration. "You're doing exactly what you should be doing." Anna smiled back, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't experienced before. "Thank you, Daniel," she said, "and I'm proud of myself too." As they parted ways that afternoon, Anna felt a weight lifted off her shoulders. She had made the decision to step into her future with confidence, knowing that her path was hers to create. And while the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, she now knew that she had the strength to walk it alone, if necessary. It had been a few months since Anna had taken control of her own journey. She had worked tirelessly on her art, built her own network, and started seeing her dreams unfold. Her relationship with Daniel had become more grounded, but there was still something lingering in the air, something unsaid, something that she couldn't ignore anymore. She had been focusing so much on her own independence, but Daniel had been there the entire time, offering his support without asking for anything in return. However, a new realization had begun to settle in her heart. Despite the space she had asked for, she missed him more than she had expected. She missed the easy conversations, the quiet moments they shared, and the way he made her feel like she mattered. It wasn't just his help that had made her succeed, it was his belief in her, in the person she was becoming. But could she allow herself to feel this way? Could she let herself lean on him, even after everything she had worked for? That evening, Anna sat in her apartment, the sounds of the city drifting in through the window. She had just finished a new painting, a piece that felt different from the rest. It was bold, full of emotion, and yet it had taken all her strength to finish. She smiled at her work, feeling a sense of accomplishment, but in the back of her mind, she knew that there was still a question left unanswered. What about her relationship with Daniel? What did she truly want from it? She picked up her phone and dialed his number, her hands slightly trembling. When he answered, his voice was warm as always. "Hey, Anna, what's up?" "Hi," she said, her voice shaky but determined. "I've been thinking about everything about us. Can we talk?" Daniel's tone shifted slightly, a hint of concern. "Of course. When can I see you?" "How about now?" she asked, her heart racing. After a brief pause, he agreed. I'll be over in 10 minutes. Anna put down the phone and took a deep breath. She had never been good at making big decisions, especially when they involved matters of the heart. But this time, she knew she had to face it. She had come too far to let fear hold her back now. When Daniel arrived, he seemed to sense the change in the air. He greeted her with a soft smile, but his eyes searched hers, looking for any sign of what was going on inside her. Anna, what's on your mind? He asked gently. She gestured for him to sit down. I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, and I think I've been avoiding this conversation because I didn't want to complicate things. But the truth is, I can't keep ignoring it. Daniel sat down across from her, his expression serious but understanding. You're talking about us, he said softly. Anna nodded. Yeah. I don't know what this is, but I know that I don't want to keep pretending like I'm not feeling something. I've built my life around being independent, and I still want that, but I also don't want to shut myself off from what we have. Daniel was silent for a moment, processing her words. Then he leaned forward, his voice steady. Anna, I never wanted to take away your independence. I've always wanted to help you grow, to support you. But I also know that we're both capable of making our own choices. I'm here for you, no matter what path you choose. Anna felt her heart swell at his words. He wasn't asking her to choose him or her career. He was simply offering his love and support, unconditionally. Daniel, she began, her voice shaking. I care about you, a lot, and I want us to be together, but I don't want to lose myself in the process. He smiled, his eyes full of affection. You won't lose yourself, I promise you that. I believe in you, Anna, and I believe in us. But this is your life, and I want you to live it on your terms. She felt a weight lift off her shoulders, the tension that had built up between them melting away. Thank you, she whispered, her voice full of relief. I needed to hear that. We're in this together, Daniel said, taking her hand. And we'll figure it out one step at a time. In that moment, Anna realized that the journey she had been on wasn't just about her dreams or her independence. It was about finding balance, about allowing herself to love and be loved without losing sight of who she was. She didn't have to choose between her art and her heart. She could have both. The next few days were filled with new beginnings. Anna focused on her art, but she also took the time to nurture her relationship with Daniel. They continued to support each other, growing together as individuals and as a couple. Daniel respected her independence, and she respected his need to work and grow in his own way. Together, they built something more meaningful, something that was rooted in love, trust, and mutual respect. As Anna looked back on everything she had gone through, she realized that the biggest challenge had not been pursuing her dreams, but opening herself up to the possibility of love. She had built a life on her own, but now, with Daniel by her side, she knew she had found something even more valuable. The freedom to love without fear. And as they moved forward, side by side, Anna was finally ready to embrace both her independence and the love she had always dreamed of. The weeks that followed felt like a whirlwind, but Anna was finally beginning to find the balance she had longed for. She had her independence, her art was flourishing, and her relationship with Daniel had reached a new understanding. They had learned how to navigate the delicate balance between supporting each other and respecting their own spaces. Yet, despite the progress, Anna could not shake the feeling that something was off. There was a lingering tension, an unease she couldn't explain, and it had been growing steadily in the back of her mind. It wasn't just about her art or the work she had been doing. It was about her connection to Daniel. She had thought that after their conversation, everything would fall into place, but instead, she found herself questioning whether they truly understood each other. She was focused on her art, but she felt that Daniel's world, his business, his wealth, was pulling him further away from her. It wasn't just about the material differences. It was the way his life seemed so different from hers. The way he could solve problems with money while she struggled to make ends meet. Even though he never made her feel inferior, the disparity between their worlds was undeniable. Anna knew she needed clarity. She had come so far in her journey, and she couldn't afford to lose herself in anyone else. Not even someone she cared about deeply. So, she decided to take a step back, to clear her head, and to find out what was truly bothering her. One evening, she called Daniel, her voice steady but firm. Can we talk? I need to figure something out, and I need some space. Daniel, ever understanding, agreed without hesitation. They met later that night, in a quiet corner of their favorite cafe. As soon as Anna sat down, she knew this wasn't just another conversation. This was the moment she needed to make things clear. "Daniel," she started, her hands nervously folding over the cup in front of her. "I've been thinking a lot about everything about us, about where we're going. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but I feel like we're in two different worlds." Daniel's brow furrowed, concern in his eyes. "What do you mean?" he asked softly. Anna took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "I feel like I'm constantly trying to prove myself in my own world, while you're always in yours. I know you've helped me so much, but sometimes I feel like I'm not really living my own life. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but I need to feel like I'm standing on my own 2 feet. I need to know that I can be successful on my own, without being tied to you or your world." Daniel listened quietly, his gaze never leaving her face. When she finished speaking, he leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "Anna, I understand where you're coming from," he said after a moment, his voice calm but filled with sincerity. "I never wanted to make you feel like you were dependent on me. I've always seen your potential, and I've wanted to help you see it too. But I also know that you need to make your own choices, to walk your own path. I've been so focused on supporting you that I didn't realize how it might be making you feel." Anna's heart softened as she listened to him, but her thoughts were still a jumble. "I don't want you to think I'm pushing you away," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I just need to find my own way, and I don't know if we're too different for this to work." Daniel reached across the table, taking her hand gently. "I've always respected your independence, Anna. I don't want to change you or push you into a life you don't want. But I also know that relationships aren't about being the same. They're about understanding each other, accepting each other's differences, and finding a way to make it work. I'm willing to do that if you are." Anna met his eyes, her chest tightening. She had always feared that their differences would tear them apart. But now, with his words, she realized that it wasn't the differences that mattered. It was how they worked together to bridge the gap. "I want to make it work," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I just need to be sure that we're both on the same page. I can't lose myself in this, in you. I need to know that I'm still me, even with you in my life." Daniel nodded, his thumb brushing over her hand. "I get that, Anna. I'm not asking you to lose yourself. I'm asking you to let me be part of your journey, in whatever way you need. I don't expect you to change who you are for me. I just want to be by your side as you continue to grow." A wave of relief washed over Anna as she listened to him. For the first time, she felt like they truly understood each other. This wasn't about her giving up her dreams for him, or him solving all her problems. This was about finding a way to build something together, while still holding on to what made each of them unique. "Thank you," she said quietly, her voice full of emotion. "I needed to hear that." Daniel smiled softly, a sense of calm settling between them. "I'm glad we could talk, Anna, and no matter what, I'm here for you. Always." As they sat in the quiet cafe, the tension between them dissolved, replaced by a renewed sense of understanding. Anna knew that this was just another step in their journey together, but it was a step that brought them closer not just as a couple, but as individuals who respected and loved each other. She still had a lot of work to do to build the life she wanted, but with Daniel by her side, she now knew that she didn't have to do it alone. In the days that followed their conversation, Anna felt a renewed sense of clarity. She had shared her concerns with Daniel, and he had understood. They had both come to a place of deeper understanding, realizing that their relationship wasn't just about love, but about respect for each other's independence and individuality. Despite the newfound peace, Anna's mind still raced with thoughts of her future. She had made so much progress in her art, but now the question lingered. What was next? She had received more offers from galleries, each one pushing her further into the world she had dreamed of. But the weight of those opportunities made her nervous. Was she truly ready? Could she handle everything that was being asked of her? She didn't have the answers yet, but she knew she couldn't stand still. One morning, as she sat in her studio working on a new piece, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel. "I need to talk to you. Can we meet today?" The urgency in his message startled her. She quickly replied, "Of course. I'll meet you after my shift." When Anna met Daniel later that evening, she could tell something was off. He wasn't his usual calm self. There was a tension in his eyes, a hint of something he wasn't saying. "Anna," he began, his voice low. "I need to tell you something. There's been a development at work, and it's affecting me more than I thought it would." Anna's heart skipped a beat. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. Daniel hesitated for a moment before continuing. "Ross Industries is facing some financial challenges. We've had to make some tough decisions about the future of the company, and I'm not sure how things will play out. I didn't want to keep this from you, especially since you've been such a big part of my life recently." Anna felt a surge of empathy. She knew how much Daniel had invested in his company, how much it meant to him. But hearing this news left her uncertain. "What does this mean for you?" she asked softly. Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know. I may have to step back for a while to help restructure things. It could mean a lot of changes, and I need to be focused on that. But the last thing I want is for this to affect what we have." Anna took a deep breath, processing his words. "Daniel, if this is something you need to do, I understand. Your career is important, and you have to focus on what's best for you. But what about us?" Daniel looked at her, his expression full of sadness. "I don't want to lose you, Anna, but I also know that I can't ask you to wait for me while I figure this out." Anna's heart ached. She had always admired Daniel's strength and dedication. But now, seeing him so vulnerable, made her realize just how much he had been carrying. She reached across the table, taking his hand in hers. "We'll figure this out together, Daniel. I'm not going anywhere, but I need you to know that I'm still here for you no matter what." Daniel's eyes softened as he squeezed her hand. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I don't deserve you, Anna. I've been so caught up in everything at work that I haven't taken the time to appreciate what we have. I don't want to lose you. Not now, not ever." As they sat in silence, Anna felt a wave of reassurance wash over her. She had always known that Daniel was more than just the CEO of a company. He was a man who cared deeply, who valued the people in his life. And even though their worlds were different, their bond was real. "We're in this together," Anna said softly. "Whatever happens, we'll handle it together. Just promise me that you won't shut me out." Daniel nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I promise," he said, his voice steady. "And I'll be here for you too, Anna, always." The rest of the evening passed quietly, with the two of them simply being in each other's company. The challenges that lay ahead were uncertain, but for the first time in a while, Anna felt sure of one thing. No matter what came their way, they would face it as a team. As she left that night, she knew that their relationship was evolving, just as her art and her life had been. It wasn't always easy, and there would be obstacles to overcome. But Anna was ready to face whatever came next. Her path was hers to create, and she wasn't afraid to walk it, whether with or without the man who had shown her that love didn't have to be a sacrifice. Love could be a partnership, a shared journey of growth and understanding, and that was exactly what Anna was willing to give. She was ready for whatever the future held, ready to take the next step, knowing she had the strength to navigate it, with or without all the answers. Weeks passed, and the pressure on Daniel only seemed to grow. The challenges at Ross Industries were getting more intense, and he had to make tough decisions. But despite everything, he never stopped reaching out to Anna, keeping her updated, and showing her that their relationship mattered. Anna had continued with her art, her success building momentum. But the lingering uncertainty about Daniel's situation weighed on her. She knew he was under stress, but there was nothing she could do to help him. Her own work was thriving, yet her heart was torn. She couldn't shake the feeling that their worlds were still too far apart. Daniel was facing one of the biggest challenges of his career, and Anna couldn't ignore the fact that his work was consuming him. As much as he reassured her, the space between them seemed to be growing. One evening, Daniel called her. "Can we meet?" he asked, his voice tight. Anna felt the familiar rush of concern. "Of course, when and where?" "How about the park? In 30 minutes?" he suggested. The park was a place they had visited many times, a place of calm and quiet moments, and it was where they had first discussed their goals. When Anna arrived, she saw Daniel standing by a bench, looking at the skyline, his posture tense. She approached him, trying to read his expression. "Daniel, what's going on?" she asked gently. He turned toward her, his eyes tired. "I've been holding something back, Anna," he began. There's a lot happening at work, but there's more. I've been offered an opportunity to sell the company, to get out before things get worse. Anna's stomach dropped. She had heard the rumors about the company's financial problems, but she never imagined it would come to this. So, what are you going to do? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, his face a mixture of frustration and uncertainty. I don't know. On one hand, it's a chance to walk away, to get out while we still have something. On the other, it's everything I've worked for. I've built this company from the ground up, and walking away feels like failure. Anna listened carefully, her mind spinning. She could see how torn he was, how much this decision weighed on him. But she also understood that, for him, the company wasn't just about business, it was a part of his identity. Daniel, this is your decision, she said softly. But you need to ask yourself, what's more important, the company or your happiness? If you keep holding on to something that's dragging you down, you'll lose yourself in the process. I can't tell you what to do, but I know you have to choose what will make you feel whole again. Daniel was silent for a moment, staring at the ground. Anna's words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Finally, he looked up at her, his eyes filled with emotion. You're right, Anna, he said quietly. I've been so focused on holding everything together that I didn't realize I was losing myself in the process. But I don't want to lose you, too. I don't want to lose what we have. Anna's heart ached as she saw the vulnerability in his eyes. You don't have to lose me, Daniel, but I want you to make the decision that's best for you. We've been through so much already, and I know you can't keep carrying all this weight on your own. They stood in the park for a long time, the silence between them comforting rather than uncomfortable. Anna knew this was a turning point, not just for Daniel, but for their relationship. They both had to figure out what was next, and they couldn't do it by clinging to the past. I'll support you, no matter what you decide, Anna said, her voice soft but firm. But you have to do what feels right for you, Daniel. You've worked hard, and you deserve to be happy, whether that's with the company or without it. Daniel nodded, a small, bittersweet smile forming on his face. Thank you, Anna. You've been more than I could have asked for, and I want you to know that I'm not giving up on us. Whatever happens with the company, I want to build something real with you. The weight in his words hit Anna deeply. She had always known that their connection was special, but in that moment, she realized just how much they had grown together. She wasn't just his support system, she was his partner. As they walked back together, hand in hand, Anna knew that their journey was far from over. There would still be obstacles to face, but for the first time in a long time, both of them were ready to face whatever came next with clarity and conviction. They weren't just two people trying to figure out their paths separately, they were a team, ready to take on the world together. As the days passed after their conversation in the park, Anna and Daniel both felt a sense of relief. They had confronted their fears and the tension that had been slowly building between them, but now they needed to face what came next. Daniel made the decision to step away from Ross Industries. It was one of the hardest things he had ever done, but he knew it was the right choice. The relief in his eyes when he shared the news with Anna was palpable. I've made the call, he told her, his voice steady but filled with emotion. I'm stepping away from the company. I'm going to focus on what really matters. I need to rediscover what makes me happy, and I need to do it for myself. I can't keep holding on to something that's only making me miserable. Anna smiled, feeling the weight lift from his shoulders, and a sense of peace washed over her. I'm proud of you, Daniel. That's a huge step, she said softly. You've worked so hard, but now it's time to take care of you. As Daniel took the first steps toward finding a new path, Anna felt her own journey continuing to unfold in ways she hadn't expected. Her art had gained the recognition it deserved, with more gallery showings and commissions coming in. Still, there were moments when she doubted herself, wondering if she was truly ready to take her art to the next level. One afternoon, after a long day of painting, Anna received a call from an influential art collector she had been trying to connect with for months. Miss Clark, I've seen your work, and I'm very impressed. I'd like to discuss a potential exhibition at our gallery, the voice on the other end of the line said. Anna's heart raced. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. This could change everything for her, but she wasn't sure if she was ready for such a big step. She had dreamed of this moment, but now that it was real, the pressure was almost overwhelming. That evening, as she sat with Daniel at their favorite restaurant, she shared the news with him. "I've been offered an exhibition at the gallery. They want to feature my work and I don't know what to do," she said, her voice filled with uncertainty. Daniel reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "Anna, you've worked your whole life for this. You deserve this opportunity. Don't let fear hold you back. I know you're ready." His confidence in her gave her the strength she needed. "But what if I'm not good enough?" she asked, the doubt still lingering in her voice. Daniel smiled, his eyes full of warmth. "You are more than good enough. You've got something special, and the world needs to see it. I believe in you, Anna. And I'm here, every step of the way." His words lifted the weight off her shoulders, and for the first time in a long time, she felt ready. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. Anna worked tirelessly on her pieces, carefully curating a collection that she felt represented her journey, her struggles, and her triumphs. She poured her heart into each brushstroke, determined to showcase not just her talent, but her soul. The night of the exhibition, Anna stood in front of the gallery, her heart pounding. She was nervous, more nervous than she had ever been before, but she was also proud. Proud of how far she had come, proud of the work she had created, and proud of the woman she had become. When she stepped inside the gallery, the atmosphere was electric. The walls were lined with her paintings, and people were already admiring her work. Anna felt a surge of emotion as she walked around, seeing her art through the eyes of others. She had never imagined that her dreams would become a reality like this. Daniel appeared beside her, a proud smile on his face. "You did it, Anna," he said softly, his voice filled with admiration. "You're incredible." Anna looked at him, a smile spreading across her face. "We did it," she corrected. "I couldn't have done this without you." The evening passed in a blur of conversations, compliments, and congratulations. People were impressed by her work, and the gallery owner was eager to discuss future opportunities. By the time the exhibition came to a close, Anna was exhausted but filled with a sense of accomplishment she had never felt before. As the night wound down, Daniel took her hand and led her outside. The city skyline twinkled in the distance, and the cool night air felt refreshing against her skin. "You were amazing tonight," Daniel said, his voice soft. "You're just getting started, Anna." She smiled, feeling a sense of contentment she hadn't experienced in a long time. "I know," she said, looking up at the stars. "And I'm not alone this time. I have you by my side." Daniel pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her. "Always," he whispered. As they stood together, the world around them seemed to fade away. In that moment, Anna realized that her journey was far from over. There would still be challenges ahead, but she knew she was ready for them. With Daniel's support, she had found the strength to believe in herself. And that was all she needed to keep moving forward. The weeks following the exhibition passed in a flurry of activity. Anna's work gained more recognition, and soon she found herself busier than ever. Her paintings were displayed in multiple galleries, and the commissions kept rolling in. She had accomplished something she had dreamed about for years, but as her art career flourished, a new challenge arose, finding a balance between her personal life and the demands of her success. Daniel, too, had been navigating his own path after stepping away from Ross Industries. He had taken time to reevaluate his life, and though it wasn't easy, he was slowly rediscovering his purpose. He spent more time working on smaller projects, consulting for other companies, and diving into ventures that aligned with his values. Their relationship, while still strong, had been tested by the changes in their lives. Anna had her art, and Daniel had his newfound focus. There were moments when they drifted into their own worlds, both of them busy with their respective goals, but they remained committed to each other. One evening, as Anna finished painting a new piece, Daniel entered the studio, holding a small box in his hand. He had a smile on his face, but there was something in his eyes that told her this was more than just a casual visit. "I've been thinking," Daniel said, his voice soft but determined, "about us, about everything we've been through, and I want to take the next step." Anna's heart skipped a beat. She had sensed a change in their dynamic lately, a subtle shift that had left her wondering what the future held. She put down her brush and turned toward him, her mind racing. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Daniel knelt down in front of her, holding the box out to her. "I know we've both been on separate journeys, and I've always respected your independence, Anna. But I also know that we're stronger together, and I want to build something more with you." As he opened the box, Anna's breath caught in her throat. Inside was a small, simple ring. "Anna, I love you, and I want you to be by my side, not just as a partner in life, but as my equal. Will you marry me?" Anna's mind went blank. She had never expected this moment to come, at least not so soon. Her heart raced as she looked at the ring, at Daniel's eyes filled with hope, and at the life they had built together. She had never imagined herself getting married, not in the way that other people did, but as she looked at Daniel, everything felt right. This wasn't about a ring or a ceremony, it was about the bond they shared, the trust they had built, and the love that had grown between them. She could see the future in his eyes, a future where they both continued to chase their dreams, side by side. "Yes," Anna whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "Yes, I'll marry you." Daniel's face lit up, and he took her hand, pulling her into an embrace. "I love you," he said, his voice full of joy and relief. "I promise I'll always be here for you, no matter what." As they held each other, the world seemed to fade away. Anna realized that she had come a long way since that first day they met. She had found success in her art, and she had found love in a way she never thought possible. But more importantly, she had found herself. The journey had been filled with doubts, struggles, and moments of uncertainty, but through it all, she had remained true to who she was. And now, with Daniel by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came next. They weren't perfect, and their relationship had its challenges, but they had learned to trust each other, to communicate, and to support each other's dreams. They were partners, in every sense of the word, and together, they knew they could build a future full of love, adventure, and success. As the evening wore on, Anna and Daniel celebrated the next chapter of their lives. There were no grand speeches, no extravagant plans, just the two of them, together, enjoying the moment. Anna knew that the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but with Daniel by her side, she was ready for anything. They had built something real, something that would stand the test of time. And as they looked ahead to the future, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As the months went by, Anna and Daniel found a new rhythm. They were no longer just two people navigating their separate lives. They were a team, building a future together. The wedding was small but beautiful, just as Anna had always imagined, simple, intimate, filled with love and the people who mattered most. The ceremony was held in a garden under the soft glow of twinkling fairy lights. It was a perfect reflection of who they had become. Not extravagant, but meaningful. They exchanged vows that spoke to the heart of their relationship, honesty, support, and a shared vision for the future. As they walked down the aisle hand in hand, surrounded by their closest friends and family, Anna realized just how much had changed. She had spent so long wondering if she could truly have it all, her independence, her career, and the love she so deeply craved. But with Daniel by her side, she knew she didn't have to choose between them. Their relationship was not about sacrifice, but about growth, partnership, and mutual respect. After the wedding, Anna's career continued to soar. She was invited to more prestigious galleries, and her work was featured in national art magazines. She had become a respected name in the art world, not just because of her talent, but because of the dedication she had shown to her craft. It wasn't always easy, but it was always worth it. Daniel, too, found his footing outside of Ross Industries. He decided to focus on his consulting business, helping smaller companies grow with the wisdom he had gained over the years. He worked with passion, but it was no longer about the pressure of running a massive corporation. He was now able to focus on what truly mattered: his personal happiness and his relationship with Anna. They spent weekends traveling to new places, exploring cities and towns they had always wanted to visit. Anna found inspiration in the places they visited, often sketching the landscapes and architecture. Daniel enjoyed seeing the world through her eyes, discovering the beauty in every corner of their travels. But it wasn't just the big moments that mattered. It was the quiet evenings at home, cooking dinner together, talking about their dreams, and simply being present for one another. Life, though far from perfect, felt full. Through all the ups and downs, Anna and Daniel had learned that true happiness was not found in the perfect career or the perfect life, but in the people you loved and the experiences you shared. They were living proof that love and success didn't have to be separate. They could exist in harmony. One evening, as they sat on their porch, watching the sunset over the horizon, Anna turned to Daniel. "I never imagined life could be like this," she said, a soft smile playing on her lips. Daniel reached over, taking her hand in his. "Me neither," he said, squeezing her hand gently. "But I'm glad we found it together." Anna smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. She had come a long way from the days when she was unsure of her place in the world. She had found her voice, her confidence, and the love she had always dreamed of. And now, with Daniel by her side, she knew that anything was possible. Together, they had created a life that was beyond her wildest expectations. As the years went on, Anna continued to paint, Daniel continued to consult, and their love continued to grow. They faced challenges, as all couples do. But they faced them together, knowing that no matter what came their way, they would always have each other. In the end, Anna realized that it wasn't the success or the recognition that mattered most, it was the journey. The path they had walked together, hand in hand, through the highs and lows, had been worth everything. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that whatever it held, they would face it with love, strength, and unwavering support for one another. The story they had built was just beginning, and they were ready for whatever came next. Discover the captivating journey of love, independence, and success in this heartwarming tale that unfolds through unexpected millionaire stories. In this narrative, Anna, a talented artist, struggles to find balance between her passion and the overwhelming uncertainties of life. Along the way, she encounters Daniel, a successful millionaire who challenges her to embrace both love and her career. As their relationship blossoms, they face challenges, but through determination and mutual respect, they begin to create a life that blends ambition and connection. This inspiring story is filled with the transformative power of dreams, hard work, and the unwavering support of loved ones, illustrating how a seemingly ordinary encounter can lead to extraordinary millionaire stories. With twists, personal growth, and emotional depth, these millionaire stories will show you that love, passion, and success can coexist harmoniously. Follow Anna's journey as she embraces her independence while learning to trust in both herself and Daniel. Witness how their paths intertwine and how, together, they navigate life's highs and lows, proving that true millionaire stories are about more than just wealth. They're about the love, dreams, and sacrifices that shape who we become. This heartfelt story of ambition and love highlights the importance of believing in oneself and never letting go of what truly matters, showing that the most powerful millionaire stories are those that center around genuine human connection and shared growth.